Here are the top risers and fallers heading into week 4 of the fantasy football season. The risers, quarterback Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. Actually, for fantasy, he's been good. 21 and 25 points in the first 2 weeks, but he really looked good as an NFL quarterback against the bad Dallas defense. 298 yards, 4 touchdowns. Could have been more, but the Bears were blowing out the Cowboys. Better days for Williams continue to roll. Next, Jalen Hurts. It looked like a lost game through halftime against the Rams. Then all of a sudden, with the Eagles being blown out, they finally opened up the passing attack. Hurts ends up with 226 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 33 fantasy points. If they continue to throw the ball, Jalen Hurts is looking up very fast. Running back, sad one here, Trey Benson, because James Conner suffered a serious ankle injury, expected to miss the season. Trey Benson, 6 yards per carry and limited work on the season, 8 catches, 45 yards. Obviously a high draft pick last year of the Arizona Cardinals. Benson moves into a very big lead role. He's a very talented running back, explosive running ability. Yeah, wheels up for Trey Benson going forward. Next, Quinshon, Judkins, Cleveland Browns. Well, it didn't take long for him to be the lead back. Last week, week 2, he eased into the lineup. Not in week 3 against the Packers. 18 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown. Wow. Dylan Sampson, 1 touch. Jerome Ford, 4 targets. That was it. Judkins backfield, 3 down back, goal line back. Wheels up, like I said, for Quinshon Judkins. Next, Cam Skattebo, New York Giants. Slow start in week 1, 4 touches. But look, in week 2, they got him involved. 13 touches, got him 16 against the Chiefs, and he went off. 121 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, Tyrone Tracy got dinged up in this one, but regardless, this looks like Skattebo's backfield going forward. What a dynamic young player. Next, Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts. 3 touchdowns, 102 rushing yards in the game against the Titans. But look, Taylor has been getting it done for 3 weeks. These are the first rushing touchdowns of the season. He had a receiving touchdown. He's been involved as a pass catcher, as a runner. What a great season Jonathan Taylor has in store for him. Wheels up here as well. Jordan Mason, Minnesota Vikings, gets his first start with Aaron Jones on the injured reserve with a hamstring injury. We missed at least 3 more games. But wow, Mason really took care of business on only 16 carries against the Bengals. Goes for 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Left tackle Christian Darrisaw was back. Hopefully they get center Ryan Kelly back next week. But while Jordan Mason has this job as the lead back, yes, he is going to be a very productive fantasy player. Next, Omarion, Hampton, Los Angeles Chargers. Again, very unfortunate. Najee Harris suffers an Achilles injury. Hampton gets a lot of volume. Now, the yards per carry, not great, 19 for 70, but 19 carries and a touchdown. Also caught 6 passes for 59 yards. Despite the volume, you're looking at 129 yards and a touchdown against the Broncos. That's a good game, and Hampton looks like he's on his way to some improvement. Next, A.J. Brown. We're wide receivers right now. Brown had a goose egg at halftime against the Rams. He only had 6 catches for 35 yards through 2 games. It looked like it was a 3rd game of misery. But again, with the Eagles trailing, they decided we have to throw to A.J. Brown. In the second half of that game against the Rams, A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. If the team continues to go back to that passing attack, A.J. Brown will be the dominant force you expected. Finally, Michael Pittman, 6 catches, 73 yards, 6 targets against Tennessee. Pittman has at least 19 PPR points in 2 of 3 games. A lot of people involved in this offense, but Pittman has a real stable role here, and we love that. Moving to tight end, Hunter Henry plays Pittsburgh, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, and we've seen Henry with 8 targets in 2 of 3 games. This is a continuation of the second half of last season when Henry was getting it done with Drake May. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep the fantasy advice rolling your way. If you want even more RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You go to rotowire.com, you pick out a subscription, and you use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, the fallers. Yep, the negative time here. Quarterback C.J. Stroud, not good. First 2 weeks, gave him a pass. The Rams pass rush, the Buccaneers blitz. Well, he played the Jaguars this week, and that offensive line in Houston is terrible. C.J. Stroud has not much chance to be successful this year. A busted coverage allowed him to get a long touchdown to Nico Collins, but still 204 yards, one touchdown. C.J. Stroud probably shouldn't be on a fantasy roster right now. Trevor Lawrence, just as bad. 50% completions. I know it was a tough matchup against Houston. No touchdowns, one pick. Trevor Lawrence, he's had some volume, some fantasy numbers have been there. He is not a good quarterback. The coach did not fix him. This is going to be a very up and down season with probably more downs than ups. Next, Michael Penix, Atlanta Falcons, playing the cupcake Carolina Panthers. 50% completions. Benched in a blowout loss. Kirk Cousins comes in. Penix, the inaccuracy has been a problem. It's going to be a problem. And it's very possible that if the Falcons have another bad game out of them, they could turn to Kirk Cousins. Running back, Chase Brown. 10 carries, 3 yards, 4 catches for minimal yardage. No Joe Burrow, no free space to run. Bad offensive line. Chase Brown went from the penthouse to the poorhouse. This is not a good situation for Chase Brown. Unfortunately, his fantasy value has tanked. Saquon Barkley. Weeks 1 and 2, decent floor games, 18 PPR points, 17 PPR. He got in the end zone, which helped him there. Didn't get in the end zone this week, 9 PPR points. Defenses are stacking the box against the Eagles. The silver lining, if they go back to that passing attack they used in the second half when they were trailing against the Rams, then it'll open up space for Barkley. But right now, a lot of defenders targeting that run game, and injuries on the offensive line are a bit of an issue too. Breece Hall, well, that huge week 1 game is a mile away because it has been single-digit PPR points in his last 2 games. Right now, Breece Hall is a borderline top 20 running back in PPR leagues, but there's a lot of floor that we got to worry about here. Rhamondre Stevenson, New England Patriots, had a great week in week 2. Fumbled 2 costly fumbles, 1 at the goal line, lost work in the second half of the game because of that. Long history of fumbling issues for Rhamondre Stevenson. This could be a problem with the coaching staff there. It's possible his role gets diminished. Ashton, Jeanty, Las Vegas Raiders. In 3 games, Jeanty has a total of 25 PPR points. Only 6 points against Washington. He's getting volume, and it gives him a baseline each week. But Ashton Jeanty has not consistently been very good. Raiders are probably not going to have a lot of rushing touchdowns. So right now, Jeanty's a volume-based floor play. Dylan Sampson thought he was a hot shot coming out. Week 1, 8 catches. Well, Quinshon Judkins taking over that lead role in week 3. Sampson had 1 touch. Probably not so good for his future value for fantasy. Wide receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., Jacksonville Jaguars. No double-digit PPR games in 3 contests. 2 for 65 against Houston. We said earlier, Trevor Lawrence, not a good quarterback. Thomas is getting targets, just not getting production. And as long as Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence, that's probably not going to be great for Brian Thomas Jr. DK Metcalf, yes, he scored in the last 2 games. But after that 80-yard performance in week 1, he hasn't hit 35 yards in the last 2. Pittsburgh's passing attack is going to be anemic, and those touchdowns aren't coming every week. So unfortunately, be careful with DK Metcalf. Calvin Ridley, 1 catch, 27 yards versus Indianapolis, averaging less than 40 yards per game in his 3 contests. This was a matchup we thought he'd do well. Right now, not looking great for Calvin Ridley. Marvin Harrison Jr., Arizona Cardinals, had a big downfield drop, which could have been a huge gain against San Francisco. 12.1 PPR points over the last 2 games. Marvin Harrison, that upside just is not there. Drake London getting pulled down by the Michael Penix Express. 5 catches, 55 yards, averaging 53 yards in a season. We were really excited about Drake London. Maybe if Kirk Cousins gets in there, this can get fixed. But right now with Michael Penix, it's starting to look really dicey. T. Higgins, Cincinnati Bengals, 1 catch for 15 yards against Minnesota with Jake Browning at quarterback. Only 104 yards on the season for Higgins. Right now, short passing attack. Defenses know it's coming. T. Higgins is going to be a floor, but not a ceiling play. Stephon Diggs, New England Patriots, 3 catches, 23 yards against Pittsburgh, but his targets have gone down each game from 7 to 5 to 3. Aging player coming off an ACL, not excited. Travis Hunter, 1 catch, 21 yards against Houston. In the last 2 games, 4 catches, 43 yards. And Hunter has not had 34 yards in a game, getting a few catches, but the fantasy value is just not there.